All right, welcome everybody to the About That Water podcast show. Today, I have somebody that is very interested and actually heavily invested in real estate. He does long distance real estate well over 700 miles away. So, this episode is totally for the people that are looking into doing investments, long distance, definitely for the people who are excited about getting into real estate, and we're going to dive in quite a bit about how to get started, where you can do to get started, and actually how you can actually exit out of the different plans and strategies that are out there. So today, my guest is Shawn Ackerman from the I Keep It Real Estate LLC. How you doing today, Shawn?
I'm good, King. How are you, man? Happy
Oh,
Sunday.
happy Sunday. Super Bowl
It's
Sunday, right?
God's day. That's right. It's a beautiful day today, man. Beautiful
Yes, sir.
time to be alive, man.
So, can you tell me and the audience about how did you actually get started with your business and real estate from the beginning?
Right. So, very early on, I realized that trading time for money is not the long-term play, right? It had to be another way. And that other way to me, what made sense to me was, I wanted to invest in something that gave me a return without me having to physically punch a clock for it, right? So, I looked at stocks as a viable option, but real estate, I keep coming back. I kept coming back to real estate, right? Like everything is real estate, right? Where we live, the hospital, the doctor's office, the playgrounds, wherever you go, the Dunkin' Donuts, the gas station, all that's real estate, right? The street outside, right? The city or the county owns that, right? So all of this, I'm around this asset class day in and day out, and I just didn't look at it the same way. So um, it was more so of a mindset thing first. That was like the first trigger, and then I just had to figure out how I can get involved in it, right? And that's really how I got started, man. Really didn't have a lot of capital um, initially, and I'm from New York, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, Crown Heights area. So, buying locally to me, um, with my limited capital, I started with about 130K of business credit card or personal credit card balance transfer checks, right? So that doesn't really go that far in New York. So I knew it had to be somewhere else. I needed to deploy that capital, and that market happened to be the Milwaukee, Wisconsin market, out of all places, the cheese state of Wisconsin.
So, why Wisconsin, though? I mean, I know that because of the pricing, but is there anything else that attracted you there too?
Absolutely. That's an awesome question, right? So, in my initial analysis of, markets, because I looked at about 6 markets, including Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So, Birmingham, Alabama, Houston, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Columbus, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, and of course, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So, I had some metrics that, that I kind of put together, right? So, I knew that I had to make this money stretch as much as possible. So, I needed a market with a relatively low barrier of entry, right? Where I can pick up properties, as you mentioned, at a cheaper price point. But I was also looking for the 2% rule, right? So if I buy something for 50K, it needed to rent for $1,000, right? Or at least 2%. Because to me, that metric, correlates to you actually putting money in your pocket every month, right? So it was that. The landlord tenant laws was another big one. I checked out, sites like City Data, and, I always still use like Trulia and stuff like that to look at the crime ratings and stuff like that. But the main 3 metrics were the cost of entry, which was relatively low, the price to rent ratio. I mean, I'm getting 2, 3, and sometimes 4% deals in Milwaukee, and the landlord tenant laws. Because if anybody knows New York, you got the squatters' rights and all that, man. So that's really what those 3 things really drew me to the Milwaukee, Wisconsin market.
Okay. So, was it something that your family was doing before that got you into real estate, or is just kind of like, hey, I mean, they doing it, Why can't I?
Bro, listen, let me tell you something, man. Oh, I call myself the cowboy of my family, right? So I'm the guy that if we're traveling in the pack, right? I'm the one that goes over the hill and gets hit with all the arrows from the Indians, and then come back on the other side and be like, "Hey guys, it's Indians over there." You know what I mean? And they got arrows, they got they got artillery. So I'm that guy, man. I didn't learn it from anyone in the family. I didn't see what I did have an uncle. Let me take that back. I do have an uncle that was doing it down south, but he was kind of like aloof. You know what I mean? Getting money, and he wasn't really like giving gems or sharing things with people in the family. And I really didn't rely on him. And that was kind of like it didn't click that to follow up with him and see what he was doing. I was just kind of like, I felt like I was on my own path, but I had to figure it out my own way.
Yeah. So by being a black man in real estate, did you find any barriers in that?
Barry's, you know what? Capital, access to capital, right? That was the biggest thing, right? So as I mentioned earlier, I don't know, man. It's just grown up in Brooklyn, New York, man. In the 80s, it was just like your mindset was a certain way, right? Like this is the end all be all, right? This world is not bigger than Brooklyn, right? Or bigger than Crown Heights, or So I would say in terms of barriers, it was more so you know, I don't want to get into the systematic oppression and all that stuff. I don't want to go that deep, but the barrier was me, I would say, right? And getting out of that mindset of, hey, listen, go to school, get a job, that being your end all be all, right? So I had to break out of that. On the investing side, all money is green, man. You know what I mean? The lenders, they make money when you refinance properties. Insurance company make money when you insure properties. Sellers make money when you buy properties. I mean, so in the actual real estate investing game, all money is green. So it's not really barriers there, but having that network of people or surrounding yourself with people that have money, that have that know how to use money as a tool, multiply money and stuff like that. I was never exposed to that. So it was more like a self barrier. Because once I started getting into real estate, I mean, access to capital became a lot easier, right? Understanding that you could leverage your credit, if you have good credit, to get balance transfer checks and stuff like that. I have private lenders now, hard money lenders now. Like people are just throwing money at me, and I'm just like, chill. I don't, I'm good right now. And my portfolio makes good money month after month. So now I'm straight. But yeah, I would say it's more of a mindset thing for me.
Okay. So when you're building your network, was it based on the people that you already knew and just kind of like go through your associates and so forth to try to build that network?
Right. So my network now consists of majority of the people in Milwaukee, to be honest with you, right? So I have some money backers, I call them, people with money that, if I need access to capital, I can get, two, three, maybe 350 grand without, just making a couple calls. But my network consists of everybody that's on the ground that works in tandem with me to grow my portfolio, right? So I've kind of sought out people that I need on the ground, in the Milwaukee market. And that's really my network. Outside of that, I mean, like on Clubhouse and stuff like that, there's a lot of people talking on there. I'm more of a, this probably hurt my business, but I'm more of a loner, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I don't deal with a whole lot of people, right? So I built my network really to support my dream in Milwaukee, and that's pretty much it. Like, I don't have a mentor or anything like that. I prefer to bump my head 1,000 times. That's my way forward. You know what I mean? So that's really my network right there. You know what I mean? The people in Milwaukee that works to kind of further my real estate investing portfolio. And
So
I can go through those people if you want.
well, we can get to those people because I want to talk about how, within your immediate circle of friends, how do they feel about your line of work, and do they kind of ask you to do stuff locally, and like why you almost seem like a sellout, why you going in somebody else's neighborhood instead of trying to reinvest inside your own neighborhood?
Right. Yo, my friends are a funny group of people, man. It's four of us, really. You know what I mean? We call ourselves the Four Horsemen. Well, unofficially, I probably just gave us that name just now. But these are guys that I grew up with, you know what I mean, from day one. And of course, my brother, my older brother. And I think they're coming around now to understand that, working a 9 to 5 is just not it. I think they appreciate what I've accomplished, over the last 6.5, 7 years. Um, and I don't really know if they saw it where I would be today doing it from afar. 5.5, 6 years ago, right? A lot of times we sit down, we have conversations, and they're like, "Man, Shawn, you really doing this thing from so far away." And so that's kind of the conversations that we have. It wasn't, so much of like a sellout thing or anything like that. It was like I had to believe in me first, show them, and now they're kind of coming around to the idea where we're having discussions about them investing in the Milwaukee market. One of my guys is interested in St. Louis and stuff like that, because the numbers are the numbers, right?
Right.
Investing in locally in New York City, right? The five boroughs, or even on the island, Westchester, all of that, man. As on a buy and hold side, I mean, the returns are minimal, 4 or 5%. Like 5% is a great deal in New York City, right? Where I'm getting 12, 14, sometimes 16% returns in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin market. So I think they're understanding that more. It's not so much about being in your backyard. It's really about the return on your capital. So, it's we have funny conversations a lot, man, but I think they're coming around and seeing that I'm doing what I'm saying I'm doing.
Right. Because I do find it difficult in the African American community that you have to show them before
Yo,
they come on.
facts. That's a fact, bro.
Yeah,
That's a
because even
fact,
with my
man.
podcast, I'm like, yo, like, anybody want to come on? No, no, I'm okay. But
Yeah,
then,
see it first.
right.
Right. They gonna, yo, listen, man, they gonna pop on after they see me, all
Right.
these dropping all these jewels. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's crazy. That's the culture, man. It's bugged out. It's bugged
Yeah,
out.
and because that's what I was just trying to get to, like, how are your friends seeing this, even though from a financial standpoint, like, yeah, you out here taking these leaps and bounds. Did you actually have a 9 to 5 before you started doing this, or did you just go
Yeah,
right out?
yeah. Like, so I work for a non-for-profit that work with adults with disabilities.
Hmm.
And I've been promoted in that gig probably like 6 or 7 times. I started at the bottom ground level, working on the developmental disability side, and then eventually moved over to the mental health side and did more so like a bona fide property management. It was like a housing program where we kind of I had case managers that worked under me, and they would go out and see the clients and stuff like that, collect rent, stuff like that. I call it bona fide property management, which was dope because, as I'm getting into investing into real estate, I'm kind of seeing it from that perspective, dealing with tenants. And, although these people had like other type of issues as well, but that landlord tenant kind of relationship, signing leases, with the tenants and stuff like that, yeah, man, that was the gig, man. That was the gig. I
Nice.
enjoyed it actually. So, yeah, yeah.
So how was it when you quit? Did you just kind of like, well, I'm gonna do this over here, and then
Right. So I'm still in that capacity. I still have like that income stream. I'm big on income streams, right? So it's really like another income streams the way that I look at it. But it's super, super relaxed, man. I don't even call it a gig. Like, I mean, COVID, I really I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, because I'm really on my way out anyway. You know what I mean? Because I make more than enough money on my real estate stuff, where I don't really need, you know what I mean, that capital. The health insurance is probably the glue that's still keeping me there. But it's super relaxed, and it's only like 65, 70K a year, that I generate from that JO. But that's become more like a side hustle for me. I'm gonna keep it a buck for you. You know what I'm saying? Like what I do in real estate, the wholesaling aspect of it, my buy and hold business. I operate a turnkey company, and it's doing real numbers, man. You know what I mean? So, holla at me in a couple more months, man, and I'll tell you exactly, what jumping off the plantation fully feels like. But I've been off the plantation mentally for the last 3.5 years, bro.
Then let's talk about the people that's on the ground, because since they are running the, I guess you could say, you the oversee at
Operations,
this point, right?
right?
And you just kind of funding the thing. So how did you build that network in the far, so somebody that's coming brand new can actually try that aspect or come through you to as a mentor?
So what I tell people, a very important piece that you have to put together is you have to build rapport with people that you want to work with long term, right? They have to see your vision, right? They have to see the value you can bring to them, and you obviously have to see the value they could bring to you. So in terms of my team, what that looks like, I have 3 property management companies that I work with in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin market. These are all people that, well, 2 out of the 3, because I've met them pre-COVID. I physically sat down, met with them. I know their families, like I know where they live. And I've traveled to Milwaukee to meet these people, right? So my insurance agent, my loan officer. I mean, those are more have been like phone conversations. But the contractors, when I've gone to the Milwaukee market, physically met these people, my leasing agent, process server. It's a whole cast of people that I work with. The title company, right? That where I close all my deals at. And get our warranty deeds and title insurance from and stuff like that. Like I've met these people, gone out to lunch with them. So the most important people I would say would be the your property management company, because property management companies typically have contractors, right? Handyman, electrician, plumbers, all that work with them. Like if a property management company doesn't have those pieces to the puzzle, then they're really not legit, or that maybe they're just starting out, something like that. But these are people that I physically met, man, physically like seen pre-COVID, like had dinner, breakfast, lunch with, man, and looked them eye to eye and explained to them what I wanted to do in the market, and really built that rapport with. So I would tell anybody that's looking to do that to know who you're getting in bed with, because that's essentially it's a marriage, right? And these are people that you're going to be trusting with your capital, right, or your asset that you deployed into a capital, uh, your asset that you deploy capital into. So these are people that's going to be handling your livelihood, man. So know them, vet them, ask them questions, man. And I'm big on energy, so the energy was right. You know what I mean, for me and all these people, and they took a shot on me, and I've grown their businesses, right? All these different disciplines, right? I bring a lot of people into the Milwaukee market that buy and hold from me, from my wholesale business. So, I told them this very early on that I would be able to add this value to their business, and I delivered. So it's gravy. It
Okay.
works.
You talked a lot. Okay. Not like you talked a lot, but it's just
I
so
talk a
many.
lot. I
No,
gotta
no, no.
shut up, man. I gotta shut up, bro. I'm gonna
No,
sit here and just sit still. Nah, I'm joking.
I didn't mean it like that. But I
Nah, I
mean, like
know.
you had so much information there that it just brought up so many questions. Because I'm actually taking notes at the same time of the type of people that you need to have
Yes.
inside your group. But also, I'm curious on when you say build rapport, what are those key questions that you ask each uh, property manager when you went to them? Because I know it didn't just start, you just random cold called each three of them, did you?
No, I did. I
Oh,
did.
really? Okay.
That's the crazy thing. Like I had a list of, all right, so my mindset was this, right? In that 18 months that it took me to build my team, I knew management, I knew a realtor, I knew insurance, I knew a loan officer, and I knew a title company was going to be my 5 people that I need. Property management, because they have all those other people that are affiliated with them, the contractors, the handyman, and all that. So I would just make a list, right? I would just make a list of whatever discipline. When I was flying down from LaGuardia to O'Hare and driving into Milwaukee, I would have my list of 5, 6, or 7 people from that specific discipline that I was going to see that weekend, right? And I would call them ahead of time and then call them maybe a week before. Hey, listen, just to confirm, I'm flying in, on Friday, Saturday, whatever. And I just want to make sure we're confirmed for this time. So it was a cold call initially, right? Talking to them over the phone, explaining to them over the phone, but meeting them in person was just kind of like the icing on the cake. A lot of times, to be honest with you, a lot of those conversations wasn't really just straight business, right? Because I want to know who people are, right? Like, behind the, hey, this is the service that I provide. Like what's your family dynamic look like, right? Where'd you go to school, right? What are your aspirations? What are you trying to, do long-term, right? And I have to figure out if I can fit in that, right? And I'm also sharing with them what my aspirations are. Here's a guy from New York, coming into your market, and I'm telling you, I can help grow your business. I haven't done a single deal at this point, but I had that vision, right? I had that vision like, yo, this is what I'm really going to be able to accomplish for you. And I want you to be on my team to do that, right? Being in the 9-to-5 space, having like case managers under me or having, understanding that dynamic, I think that was very helpful too. That was a very helpful skill because I interview people, for that position, for those case manager positions regularly, right? That's a high turnover type of position, right? Almost like a starter position. So, I know when I sit down with these people, yeah, you have the typical questions that that agency or the company would ask you to ask, but I go into my own stuff, right? So a lot of times, property managers, how many units do they currently manage, right? Because what was big for me was I didn't want to call you and just be another number, right? I wanted you to, when I call, I wanted you to answer the phone, right? Oh, Shawn, be quiet, guys. Shawn is on the phone, right? Because I needed to be that guy because I'm so far away, right? So I didn't want you to manage 1,000, 15. That's great. 1,500 units. That's awesome if that's what you're doing, but you're not for me, right? Because I'm building something from the ground up, from 1 units up to the 87 units that I have now in Milwaukee. Plus, I'm bringing investors into the market, right? From California, from New York, from Texas. I got investors from Israel, right? New Hampshire, Vermont, Utah, right? So I'm bringing people, and I saw this vision, early on. I haven't done a single deal yet at this time, but I'm explaining to them like, here's how I'm going to add value to your business. Here's what I can do for you. I already know I was all in for my investments, right? So understanding who's on their team, right? Who do you have in place, right? It's you, the property manager, but what is your on the ground people? Do you have handyman in place? If so, how many? Electricians? You got plumbers? GCs? Do you know people down at the city inspectors? What are your relationships like at rent assistants? We got a lot of Section 8 tenants in Milwaukee. So I needed to understand what their business looked like. And it was very important for me that they were more like boutique instead of like a big name. I prefer to grow with people, right? I like building stuff from the ground up, building a solid foundation, because with that, you can stack anything on top of it, right? Once it's built and the foundation is solid, you can stack anything on top of it. But if you build something on sand, just because you're ready to deploy capital and you're ready to start investing, then it's going to crumble at some point. You know what I mean? Which is why I'm able to I bought 7 or 8 properties last year for myself, haven't gone through a single one of them, right? They all closed without me seeing them. I just have photos, but I have a team that I trust and rely on to get me good information to help me underwrite the deals. And all I got to do is just wire the funds to the title company. And I use Merrit Title out in Milwaukee. So if anybody's looking at Milwaukee, man, Merrit Title out of Brookfield, they are awesome, man. You know what I mean? So I know I just said a lot, King. We could dissect and break it back down, remix it, whatever you want to do, man. But I'm just passionate about this, man.
No, this is really good that you actually are taking the time out today to kind of give the people something that they never thought was possible. Or even if it is possible, they probably didn't hear or meet somebody that has actually done it. I know I haven't. I mean, I hear about it all the
That's
time.
cool.
So
that's why I've never done a podcast before.
Hey,
so each one teach one. You feel me?
Yep. So, I mean, I don't want to keep the people here forever because I know we can actually dive into this because I'm actually excited about the different businesses that you have within your company. I mean, as an umbrella company, because you talked about growing from 1 unit to 87 units, and actually now you're actually getting investors. And then also, I guess my next question would be about the funnel. How are you funneling your deals? And actually, how are you then funneling the investors? So I just want to hit it from both ends.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So the beautiful thing about what I do in Milwaukee is I operate a wholesale business, right? So it didn't start out that way. It kind of started by accident because my only plan for Milwaukee was to buy and hold and grow a rental portfolio, right? So that was my initial plan, right? But what happened was I had this hot 130,000 from credit cards. I'm ready to go ham, team built, it's looking good. So I'm buying and I'm using the delayed finance method, right? So whereas I buy cash, then I put debt on the property after the property is cleaned up, renovated, put tenants in place, then I go to the bank. I've always done my business that way. I'm not a purchase with 10, 15, 20% down, use the bank to leverage the other amount. And I do that strategically because when you buy that way, that money is going to sit in the property, right? And the only way you can recapture it is through the cash flow that comes from the property. But when you buy with your own cash, and you know a lender will refinance you out at 70, 75%, as long as you stay all in, purchase, repairs, all that in that range. I mean, I'm into a lot of my deals for none of my own money, all bank money, right? So when we talk about scaling a portfolio, right, the least amount of money you keep of your own in a deal, that's money that you can now reuse again, right? So the problem with that strategy, which I didn't know early on, is that my lender wasn't able to keep up with how fast I was buying, right? So here I am, we 5 deals in, 5 properties in, and I'm going back to the well like, yo, I got another deal ready to close in a couple weeks. Oh, the refinance is not going to be done for at least another 3-4 weeks. I'm like, yo, what's going on? So I got all my capital stuck, in these properties, right? In this last 2 or 3 properties, trying to get them refinanced out to pull my cash back out. I got a seller contract at the title company ready to close, right, in a couple weeks, and I can't get it done because I ran out of money, right? So, me, entrepreneur, right? What am I going to do with this deal that's ready to close? It's a good deal because I was going to buy it. Here comes wholesaling real estate, right? So, I jump on YouTube, right? Somebody, I don't know how I heard about it, or maybe I was just on YouTube and, figured it out that way. But I learned that you can put a property under contract and not sell the property, but sell the contract, right? And get a fee for it. So it's a funny story. My very first wholesale deal, I put 2 people together. Right? One, it was a 3/3 duplex. The seller had cut up into like a room and house style, right? So it was getting like 400 a unit, 1,600 up, 1,600 down. It's a cash cow, right? It's very easy, easy on the eyes in terms of numbers, right? So I wanted to take this down, but I didn't have the capital. So I had to market it on Bigger Pockets, right? So I put it out on Bigger Pockets that I have this deal. I was putting it in Facebook posts, or I probably used Craigslist and all that, just to tell people like, hey, listen, I have this deal. I can't buy it now, but I'm willing to give it to you for a fee, right? And one of the guys hit me up on Bigger Pockets. He was actually local to Milwaukee. Dan, my guy still to this day, my first buyer. So he hit me up, but Dan didn't have all the capital. I think I was getting it for 26,000. And I was probably selling it for like 33, 32, something like that. So Dan didn't have all the capital. Dan probably had like 18, 19 grand. Another guy from New Hampshire hit me up on BP. Hey, Shawn, I see you got this deal. You know, I'm interested in it. Are you interested in doing seller financing? I didn't really know much about seller financing at that time, but his issue was he didn't have all the capital. So I said, hold up. We got my man from Milwaukee. We got you. Together, y'all can make that 33 grand make sense. Let me put y'all together. So I put them together. We got on a group email, or however we put it together. They start talking. They formed a partnership through me, like through me reaching out or speaking to both of them. And they formed the LLC and bought the deal, man. That was my very first wholesale deal. It's crazy. A room in house, two investors that didn't know each other. They don't know me. We've never seen each other. I mean, after that, I was hooked, man. And I made a $6,000 check, and it's been off to the races ever since, bro. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's what we were asking me about, but you know, I'll be going all over the place sometimes. Go ahead.
We might have to W the negotiator.
Oh, there you go. I could take that. But yeah, man, that's how I put my first wholesale deal together. So the beautiful thing about having deals come through your funnel, because I run a whole wholesaling business. I got a cold caller, right? So we get our leads from PropStream, right? Okay. So we also skip trace in PropStream. So whether it's pre-foreclosure, tax delinquent, you know, recently divorced, whatever, liens, water liens, you know, electric liens, whatever that looks like, right? So we skip trace these people, get them on the phone, and I'm a one-trick pony, right? I tell all my cold callers, we have a very specific script. Hi, my name is Shawn Ackerman. I'm a local real estate investor. I'm just calling to understand if you're open to accepting a fair offer for your property at 123 Main Street, right? You're gonna get a couple different responses. Yes, no, why, how you get my number? Don't call me no more, blah, blah, blah. But we're looking for people that are interested and or have a need, right? If we pull them off the tax delinquent list, they're behind in their taxes. If we pull them off the pre-foreclosure list, you know, they're typically behind in their mortgage payments, right? So we ask these people, you know, if they're open and if they have that window of opportunity, yes, I may be interested. Okay, great. What's your offer? Is usually what comes up next. And I tell people, we don't make one offer, we actually make two offers, one cash and one on terms, right? Because we like to open up that seller financing door, if you will, doing something creative. And we make them also a cash offer. And, you know, that's kind of how we start the process with motivated sellers. Our goal is really to make an appointment to physically see the property, get photos, get a repair estimate, and then we make an offer to the seller, make it make sense. We already looked at our comps, know what the value is, and we make offers. And if they accept it, we get it under contract. I look at it and decide if I want to keep it for myself or if I want to sell it. You know what I mean? And you know, the benefit of running a wholesale business in a market that you buy and hold in is that you can cherry pick. You know what I mean? That's like when I get a deal at 45, 50 cents on the dollar, man, I'm keeping that all day long. So that's what has allowed me to grow. It's selfish as hell, but that's what has allowed me to grow my rental portfolio. So that's my funnel. That's my funnel for motivated sellers and properties in Milwaukee. Now, you also asked me about buyers. Bigger Pockets is a big, see, what's crazy to me about what I do, I'm in New York, the properties are in Milwaukee. my buyers come from these other markets. They're also not in Milwaukee, right? And I've never seen the property before. They've never seen the property before, but they buy from me, right? If you said this to someone, it would be completely illogical. But when I tell you the shit works, King, it works, right? Because I do all the due diligence up front. We pull in the tax bill, the water bill, we get in the repair estimate for them. We're creating a pro forma, we're getting comps, we're undoing the entire underwriting situation, right? And I put it in a Google Drive folder, and I send it to the investors that want to get into the Milwaukee market. We sell the deal and we sell our team with them. So that's really what I do that separates me from most wholesalers. Most wholesalers, when they sell you a deal, bye-bye, I see you at the next deal. But I actually stay on board with my buyers, and they use the team that I've built, right, in the Milwaukee market. And it's almost like a turn, I call it LearnKey, but people are familiar with that turnkey business model. That's one of my vertical businesses, man, that I've built in Milwaukee. And I bring people into the market, man. They reach out to me from Bigger Pockets, Instagram, Clubhouse has been nuts over the last few weeks. Like, I mean, people like Milwaukee. Maybe they like me. I don't know what it is, man. But they buy, man. The numbers make sense. Like, the numbers don't lie.
All right.
I'm sorry, King. Again.
No, you good. You good. It's just because a lot of the terminology that a lot of people aren't familiar with if they're not into real estate. So I did write down a lot of things on here, some of the terms that you threw out there. Just for education purposes, skip tracing is when somebody calls. It's like almost not like a robocall, but you can actually press a button, it'll call them, and then it'll go straight to their voicemail instead of actually ringing the phone. And there's a couple things that you mentioned. If you can,
so skip tracing, King, is basically the art of finding the phone number or email attached to the person who's attached to that house, right? So you skip. Okay. So I don't know if it's like a legal term, if like attorneys or police officers use that. I don't really know where it came from, but it's like tracing the person that's associated with the house that you're targeting and just getting their phone number, right? Essentially, that's what, when I think of skip tracing, that's what I think.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with the actual calling. That's cold calling. That's a separate situation. Skip tracing is the art of finding who's attached to that property that's on your list. You know what I mean?
Thank you for the correction.
It's all good, bro.
And then you also mentioned seller financing. If you can explain that a little bit.
Right. So seller finance is really not it's a very simple concept, right? So when you go buy your own primary residence, you go to a lender, you have 3 or 4 components, right? You have the loan interest rate, you have the loan term, you have the loan amortization, and all of those things create the monthly payment, right? So instead of me going to buy a property and going to get a loan from a bank, essentially I'm asking the seller to be the bank for me, right? And it's a couple different ways that you can do seller financing. One is called buying property subject to. I don't know if your audience has heard that term, but it's essentially buying a property with a mortgage on it already, right? And giving the seller typically some walkaway money, and then you essentially take over the payments. You don't assume that mortgage, because assumable mortgages stopped, I think, in the late 80s, early 90s, but you, through a contractual agreement, agree to maintain the payments on that property.
All right. Thank you so much.
Why are you smiling over there, man? Come on, Ken.
What up, I mean, bro? I know what it is. It's just that it's good for the audience.
Share with the people.
Yeah, yeah. Because I follow Bigger Pockets heavy.
Hey, you already know. You already know.
When you say under contract, so a lot of people, what does that actually mean? Under contract.
Under contract. So that means both you and the seller have agreed to whatever terms, a closing date, a purchase price, how to transfer the security deposits, access to the property, all that. Under contract is just a signature by you and the seller that you guys have agreed to offer to the terms in an offer to purchase agreement.
Got it.
Yep.
And you said something about a vertical business.
Yeah.
I know I'm familiar with it. A lot of people do it. A lot of businesses do it. But for just to kind of sum it up for the audience, what would that be to you?
Right. So a vertical to me is when you are supplying your business yourself, opposed to outsourcing something or some aspect of it. Right. So when I think vertical business, I have a wholesale business, or I would say a buy and hold business first. Right. That came first. Right. But now, opposed to me going to the MLS or buying from other wholesalers, I've integrated a totally separate business, right, of finding motivated sellers, negotiating contracts, putting them under contract, and getting them to closing. So now how this benefits my buy and hold business is there's no middleman, right? I'm supplying essentially my buy and hold business, right? And when you have no middleman, you're cutting out a lot of fees, you're getting things at more of a discount. And when we're talking about scaling and growing a rental portfolio, you could do it a lot faster. Because instead of buying a property that's worth 100,000 for 75, 80 grand, I'm getting it at 45K or 50, 55K, right? So that's when I think vertical business, I think another business that complements your existing business, and that your existing business can grow from. It may be the wrong term. I heard Nipsey say it one time. So I heard vertical. I'm like, yo, this gotta be something related to that. But and I also have this turnkey or learnkey business that I've created, right? So, I have the team in place for myself, right? Now I know how to source my own deals for myself, right? To help grow my buy and hold business. Why not? I got the deals, I got the team. Why not sell them both together and create a turnkey company?
Right.
Hey, you know what I mean? So these three businesses came from the idea of buying and holding real estate, essentially, and they all complement, each other. I make money in different ways off of all three.
All right. And the last one, because I noticed we didn't talk about CapEx, but we also talked about comps. And then that'll be the last term before we start moving on to the third segment.
I could do this all day, King.
All
just
right.
so you know. I don't know how your Sunday is. Mine's is wide open. But go ahead, King.
Oh, I'm wide open too. So let's go there.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. We're gonna have to part. You're gonna have to be like part two.
Right.
Like you have to cut it off at an hour and be like, yo, all right, we gotta do a part two. All right, go ahead, King. I'm sorry.
All right. So when it comes to comps, what do you mean by comps? What is that?
All right. So comps are comparable properties, right? So and this is something that you'll hear in the 1 to 4 unit residential space primarily. So if you have a 3-bed, 1-bath, Cape Cod, single, 1,100 square feet, you don't want to compare that to a 4-bed, 2-bath colonial that's 1,600 square feet, right? You want to compare apples to apples, because when you're looking at comps, you're looking at 2 factors. When did this last Cape Cod or similar style property sell in the last 6 to 12 months? And how far from the subject property was the property that sold at that time frame, right? So typically the ideal metrics are properties that sold, similar or like properties that sold in the last 6 months within a half-mile radius. And when you can find those properties, see what they sold for, you can almost determine the value of the subject property based on those similar or like properties or comparable properties. So that's my understanding of comps.
Okay, because I've heard about that people use this for the underwriting process. Now, when it comes to the half-mile radius, I mean, you're in Milwaukee. Like, isn't it the next property like 2 miles away?
Nah, big misconception, man. Nah, man. Milwaukee, man, Milwaukee County is dense, bro. Like it really reminds me a lot of I always say it reminds me of New York City back in the 90s. Like they are a few years behind in terms, because New York is nothing that compares to New York. But the way their houses are, it's like they're close together too. In the cities, like in certain zip codes, yeah, they real close together. But
Okay.
Milwaukee is a real block to block market, right? So you might have a property that sold 2 blocks away, that sold for 150,000. Then you might have some that sold for 20 grand, right? So it's getting comps is nuts. I assure you, it's crazy, right? So that's something that I would say consult like an appraiser or a realtor or something. I wouldn't necessarily try to go at that on your own in a market like that. That's real like block to block, and that's for some pockets of the city. Not the entire county is like that, but it can get really deep in the weeds sometimes.
Got it. Thank you for going over the comps. Because one of the things that I came across was Big Business, Greg Parker. I'm not sure if you came
That's
across
my
him.
guy. Never met him, but what he's doing out of state, bro, on another level. I'm gonna meet him one day though. Like he
Yeah.
gonna know what I'm doing in Milwaukee, because we definitely gonna chop it up. But yeah, I love what he does, man. He seemed like a stand-up guy too.
Yeah. When I was listening to him early on, I think I started listening to him about 2 years ago. And what he was doing was buying up all the comps. So he
Right.
was leveling the playing field. So like if all these houses were going for 20,000, he'd buy them all up. And then when he started to sell one, no, all my houses are going for like 40,000. So he made it quick 20,000 right at the top. I was like, that is smart. Like
Genius.
who is doing this right now? Because it's crazy.
Genius.
Yeah.
Genius. See what King Greg does is he has a construction company, right?
Hmm.
So I'm not a rehabber, right? That's a business model I don't really touch, because I don't have he owns the company, if I'm not mistaken, right? I don't own a construction company. So I don't really go into the walls on my deals. Like my thing is not so much lipstick, but if we need the roof, we'll pop a roof on there. If we need to upgrade the electrical from fuses to circuit breakers, we'll do that. Fix some plumbing, stuff like that. But he's taking them down to the studs
Yeah.
and building them back up. Not my business model. You know what I mean? Like he has a whole company, right, that does that specific thing. I don't do that. You know what I mean? Because I don't have that company, right? But what he's doing is just genius, man, because he's really setting his own values, man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it might disturb some people in that market, like, huh? Right? I wasn't even thinking about buying over in this area. And it's a time thing. Because if he does this long enough, he can change an entire community, right?
That's the point.
Over, a span of a year, 2 years. Like he can change a whole entire community. So I definitely commend that brother and what he's doing out there. I mean, I probably only understand a tenth of what he's really doing. I mean, the way you put it together, man, it's amazing, bro. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
because I'm just looking at him and I'm actually understanding from a bigger like a bigger picture of what he's doing. And what he's doing is actually having the community pretty much build the community without changing the community and getting that foot in. Because he was saying, I think on one of his videos, because he goes live all the time.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
on
yeah.
one of his videos, he was saying it's like every city is $1 million city. It's just a
Right.
matter of time. So
Facts.
and I'm like, all right, so Baltimore City is close to me. And I'm like, all right, it's a lot of places out here for like, under 10 grand, you can buy a whole
Right.
property, but
Easy.
it's to the
Easy.
studs.
Right.
And that's why I think that's how he
Gels.
managed to get to the construction company
Right.
first, because it makes sense for
Right.
his market. And then like how you started off with the wholesaling because it made sense for your market. And these are the kind of the different strategies. And I'm thinking of how can people actually come to you to actually start to get into the market? Because I know you say you wanted more of a learn key strategy. What would be the beginning capital for somebody to start investing with you?
So I sell deals on terms, right? Too seller financing. So It's about what I have at the time. Like I just gave someone a mortgage, a $30,000 mortgage, right? I had a condo in Milwaukee. I put it out there. I did a JV deal with another wholesaler. They knew someone that wanted to own or occupy a condo. So I put it out there for 40. They put 10 grand down, and I gave them a 8-year mortgage for 30 grand, right? So I do deals all kinds of ways. I also hold notes, right? I do hard money for people, transactional funding for people, right? So just saying, coming to me, is so many different ways people can invest. You can be a lender, right? With me, you can be, you could actually buy and hold real estate. You can buy a whole cash. You can buy a whole with me holding a mortgage for you. It's so many different ways. So I can't really say that there's a set amount of capital to come with. But if somebody was looking to buy like a deal cash, I would say 40 to 50K cash will get you a duplex that would rent for about $1,200 a month. That would be in decent shape. Yeah, 40 to 50 would definitely get you in the door. Now, if you wanted to pick something up but only had 20 and you can put, 12, 13 down, keep 7 in reserves, I may be able to like finance the other portion for you in a deal, right? So every situation is different. But what I always encourage people is before you deploy any capital in the Milwaukee market with me or with anybody else, I need you to sit down with me. We need to have a strategy and planning session, right? Because I got to make sure I can help you, and I got to make sure I want to work with you. I don't do business with everybody. I'm gonna keep it a hundo, okay? I'm
You
gonna
got
keep,
to.
because listen, I'm not here to babysit people, right? Like, if you coming to me brand new, like I told a young lady 2 weeks ago, man, I said, yo, listen, honestly, you got to fix your mindset first. I can't do that for you, right? I can give you all the strategic plays, plans, tricks, tips, all that. But if you don't believe in yourself that you can do this, I can't fix that for you. You know what I mean? So I told her, yo, listen, work on your mindset, create a vision board, put it on your headboard, your roof, I mean, not your roof, your refrigerator, your front door, your back on your roof. She would never see that. That's so fun. Yeah, I mean, just create a vision, right? And believe or envision yourself in this space. You know what I mean? She threw out a number. She says she wants to make 25 million, 20, $25 million a year. I said, all right, cool. Take that number, divide it by 12. How much do you need to make per month? Right? Cool. Break it down even further. How much do you need to generate per week? Right? Break it down any further. On a daily basis, you need to be doing, $22,000 actions on a regular basis to achieve that long-term goal. And not believing in yourself, that's the first investment you need to make. That don't cost you nothing, right? So I told her to come back to me in 90 days, man, and I'll see where she at. And because I don't need nobody money, man, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? If I'm going to genuinely help you, we got to sit down on a strategy and planning session and work backwards. What's your long-term goal? Do you want to be at 10K a month passively, 20K? Okay, cool. How many units is it going to take for you to get to that point, right? And we have to realistically look at your capital, look at the long-term plan, because if the mindset is not there and, you really coming to me to figure out your goals and stuff in life, I'm not a therapist, bro. You know what I mean? I'm a businessman at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So you come to me with some type of foundation of what you want to achieve, and I can help you achieve that. But I'm not gonna give you therapy. That's not what I thought.
It's funny because I'm in the same business.
You do therapy?
No, not therapy, but far
Oh,
as like helping people out, even with the budget,
right.
because a lot of people say like, I want to be able to actually sleep and pay my bills comfortably. I want to be able to um, make this amount I want to save 20% of my income. I want to do some of these strategies that other people are doing. But then I'm like, well, are you ready for it? Do you even see yourself in that like the
Right.
same exact question. Do you really even see yourself living that lifestyle? Are you actually taking the actions to reach those expectations that you want in life? And if you're not doing those actions, those the minute actions of like, yeah, I want to, even from like fitness, I'm just thinking about like the people who want the six pack abs, but yet you wake up every day and like, yeah, maybe tomorrow I'm gonna go have this the soda for the night. I'm gonna just kind of walk around, do nothing, you know. So
You can't fix that, King.
no, you
You can't
can't.
fix that. You can't fix that. And that's the stressful part about this. You can't fix that. They
Yeah,
got to do it themselves.
the
I
numbers
can
are
only
there.
imagine what you go through, man. God bless you, brother, on this.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
can't, man. Not a
that's why
therapist.
I started doing the podcast because I get tired of saying the same stuff. I was like, you know what, just listen to episode so and so, get you started, write down some stuff, and that's all you can do. And then come back to me after you tried it out, and go from there. It's crazy.
Can I ask you a question, King? I know
Yeah,
you're interviewing me. Can I ask you a question?
sure.
Do what? How do you handle like asking people to follow up with something, then they come back to you with the very same question they started with, right? And not took the action that you told them to take. What does that have you ever experienced that first and foremost? And what does that, how do you deal or handle or deal with that type of situation?
Okay, give me a quick scenario.
Okay. So for budgeting, right? You tell somebody, all right, in order to get to your long-term goal, right? You need to tuck away this percentage per month, right? Or out of your income, right? Say there is $1,000 a month. You say, yo, you need to tuck away $200 a month, right? Because my long-term goal is this, maybe to invest in this or do something. They come to you 3, 4 months later, haven't done any of the things that you told them to do, and say, hey, listen, can you help me? Can you help me? I really want to get to this goal, but haven't executed the stuff that you told them to do, right? Have you ever experienced that? Because I have, bro. And it's
Yeah,
just, oh,
and the funny thing is, it's I kind of call it, or Dave Ramsey called it, which was the diaper method or the
okay.
diaper mentality, is because it's mainly with my mom. Like she's like, yeah, I wanna pass this exam. I was like, cool. Well, you gotta study. All right. And then a couple days before the exam, hey, how's the studying going? Oh, I pushed the exam back. I'm like, what do you plan on doing? But
Right.
when it comes to that, that mindset, and actually, what I did recently, what I'm starting to do now with people that are asking me about budgeting and getting them their money together, what I've set up is to try to do the immediate thing. Was the first week I'm tapping them each day, and I give them that expectation, like, hey, I'm gonna follow up with you for a week, and we just gonna hash down, okay, what did you do today to kind of achieve this? When's your next paycheck? And we're gonna plan that out. So then the next thing, what I'll do is I'll tell them, all right, I'm gonna follow up with you on your next paycheck. So we talked about it for your first paycheck on what you want to do, how you want to break it down, and then I follow up with you that next paycheck, see how you're gonna do, break it down. Because pretty much what I try to plan out is the whole month, but then I break
Right.
that month down to, like how you said, the week to the day, what you're gonna plan to do with that paycheck. Because some people get paid on bi-weekly, and
Right.
if they get paid bi-weekly, you only can do something bi-weekly.
Right. Facts. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
It's
so
limitations.
then I follow up with them a month later, like, hey, let's meet up on this, maybe like a third Saturday, a third Friday. All right, right before that
I'm
first pay.
sorry, King. My daughter turned my lights off.
Oh, it's all
She's
right.
being super spiteful. Hold on 1 second.
Let me pause the call.
Yep. Yep. Let's do it.
So when it comes to that next month, really, I try to catch them on that first paycheck. Before they get that paycheck, we're going to write out the game plan. This is how we're going to do it. We run the numbers from the last two paychecks, see what are the numbers they're looking at for the next month, and then kind of go from there. And I did that recently in December, caught up with them in January. And in January, he was able to do exactly everything that I walked him through. And by doing that process, he's able to save about 40 grand, just by following just the simple actions that he had to do. And the cool thing about him is that he was just tired of his situation, and he was ready to take action. And like you said, it's the mindset thing. It's
It is.
you
It
have to
is.
be ready for it. Once you gotta, like you said, the desperate people that are ready to sell their property, you gotta find the desperate people that's ready to change their
Oh,
lifestyle.
facts.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But they gotta be there, right? They gotta be willing to see or believe in themselves first before anybody else does, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to get your take on
Right.
that, man. That shit is frustrating as hell, man.
Yeah, but this is my passion. It's like, like you can do, like, even though I'm not a millionaire or whatever, but I'm like, I can at least get you to that next level.
Absolutely.
I've been through a lot. I'm sharing my experiences. And, like you said, you plant the seed for the things that you know. So, like, you're not going to plant an apple seed and get an orange tree,
Right.
you know?
Facts.
So, you
Yeah.
planting the real estate seed, hey,
Sure.
these are the steps that I'm taking, and this is how you can get to where I'm at. And
Absolutely.
I'm the same way. It's like you can only speak from experience
Right.
from your standpoint. So that's the
Absolutely.
reason why I like the show, because I like to dig into other people's
Nice.
experiences to
Dope.
share you're not alone in this
Right.
world and in this process. Like we all
Right.
want to get better,
Right.
but we can't if we hoarding everything and think we doing everything like how you said with your uncle.
Facts.
It's like,
Facts.
I can imagine like, hey, I'm making all this money, but I don't want to tell you how to make this money. I'm like,
Yeah,
come
that
on.
you know what, and that's like a, I don't know if that's the crab in a barrel mindset or just like hoarding, like you said, but like if somebody asks me a question, I'm an open book. You know what I mean? Because I have an abundance mentality, right? I sit on Clubhouse for hours on end, just answering questions about real estate investing. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's gonna come back to me anyway, man. And I'm not hurting, man. You know what I mean? I'm all right financially, right? So, bringing somebody else into the Milwaukee market, I mean, they're not taking food off my table. You know what I mean? Because I got my systems in place, man. Already. But yeah, my uncle, man. Yeah, I got my own thoughts about that.
So
That's a
when you
separate podcast.
right. So when it comes to, I hear this a lot, and I wonder if you heard it too. Is that the real estate market is oversaturated? What do you think?
Oversaturated. Yeah, that's a scarcity mindset. You know what I mean? To me, because there's on market deals and there's off market deals, right? And there's deals that you can create by explaining to people in your network what it is you do and giving them strategies on how they can position themselves, the owners of real estate, right? So I don't believe in oversaturation or nothing like that. There are periods where things get slower. The inventory dries up. There's just, for whatever reason, whatever the forces may be, less sellers want to sell their property. But nah, man, because I'm the riches are in the niches, right? I'm in a very unique niche of real estate in a very unique city and pocket. Like, I don't know. I just don't believe that, man. You know what I mean? Oversaturation. I think it's a shortage of inventory that I do think, which is driving the prices up, in Milwaukee and all around the country. But nah, man, this is always going to be real estate for sale, man. Always.
Yeah, because I'm thinking now, even with COVID, you got 300,000 people that already passed away from COVID.
Facts.
So that's 300,000 properties that are available under probate right now. And I'm not
And
sure. Are
some
you
of those
using that?
people may have owned multiple properties, Ken.
True, right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. That's a great point, man. Salute to you for that.
Now, I'm
That's
just thinking of things like, because I'm an observer. So it's like of different patterns. And when it
absolutely.
comes to that, it's like, so are you using a probate option as well for your funnels too?
So we don't do a lot of probate. Those are more like long plays, right? Because they gotta go through the entire process, right? When they name the executor or whoever's responsible, or if the property has heirs, you got to contact. That's not a big aspect of our business. We have taken down a couple that were at the end stages, right? And we were able to get to it before like a realtor got to the deal, or through a real estate attorney. I mean, or through the attorney on the case, but that's not a big aspect of my business. No. I know we know it's there, but that's really a long-term play.
So in other words, it's very minute on your radar right now because everything else working.
Probate, yes, but now that you bring up, you know, what you just said, it kind of just opened up my eyes a little bit to what's potentially coming down the pipe. You know what I mean? Because probate takes a while, months and months and months to go through the court process, right? And because, you know, things are maybe done virtually now, it might be taking even longer to get stuff done. But it's coming at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So, you know, that may be something this year we'll take a more closer look at. But the low-hanging fruit is the tax delinquents, pre-foreclosures, high equity, free and clear. Like, man, they ready to rock and roll, bro. Ain't got to deal with no courts, no executives, no administrators. You know, let's get it under contract, man. Let's go.
Now, is the Milwaukee place a deed state?
It's now, are you referring to like the tax sale?
Yes.
Okay. It's I don't buy from the sheriff auctions either, but it's funny. We were talking about this on Clubhouse last night. It's a tax deed state, not a tax lien state. Once the property sells, there's no redemption period for the seller. So it's a tax deed. You actually get a deed, a clear deed, because all of my understanding, all of the encumbrances or liens are wiped off at the sale.
That's amazing. Okay, then we might have to talk offline.
And I could connect you with somebody that's her business. Like, that's what she does. You know what I mean? And the Milwaukee County Zoo, I think, is where they hold the sheriff's sale. It's funny. We was actually talking about this last night. And I actually have that list. I can send it to you offline. So, okay. But you got to have a representative though there, unless you're gonna fly down there and go to it on your own.
My wife ain't gonna let me do that.
There you go.
Yeah, all right. So what is the scariest moment in your company so far?
Areas, transitioning investors from a property manager that reach maximum or critical mass, but didn't tell me, or I had no indication that they were there. That was scary, right? Because getting a notice from a management company, to me, the guy that's bringing people into the market and saying, Shawn, in 30 days, I'm no longer doing management, right? And we had about 47, 48 units under this particular manager at that time. So I was essentially, that 30 days, man, I was cursing them, and I was just like, how can you do this? You know, I got these investors from all over the place. So that shit was super scary, because I thought, like, because your reputation is everything, right? Like, people are trusting me to have that piece figured out. And maybe I'm putting too much on myself, because honestly, you know, now what I tell people is, you know, yeah, leverage my team, but work on building your own team. When you pick up the phone, people say, hey, so-and-so is on the phone. I need to, you know what I mean? And not just treat you like, oh yeah, this is one of Shawn's investors. But yeah, that was, I mean, we ended up figuring it out, but yeah, that was probably the scariest moment of having potentially 47, 48 units without management in a 30-day time frame. That was, you know, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, because I was going to ask about how did you survive through that, but I mean, we don't have to go into that.
Why you want to peel old scabs, man? No,
I ain't gonna do that.
No. We can talk about it. Essentially, one of my project managers, she wasn't really doing management, but she was in and out of these properties doing repairs with her repair crew and stuff like that. She took a bunch. I diverted a bunch over to another company. And I think one or two of the investors actually kind of found their own company. So we split them up where everybody had management at that 31st day. But it was hectic, man. It was hectic going through that entire month. Like mine were good. I wasn't really tripping about mine, my properties, because I can just kind of give them to whomever. But I don't. The investors that I bring into the market, like I strategically place them with managers that have all the pieces figured out. Like I have it's kind of an odd hybrid team, right? Where my realtor, one of my realtors, she manages probably like 19, 20 of my doors, right? And I leverage the team from an actual management company, right? So my realtor does the day-to-day interfacing with the tenants, collecting the rent, getting the calls, leaks, this, that, and the other. But I leverage the team from another company, right? It's like a hybrid model. I wouldn't put my investors in that situation. I would prefer just to have them with the management company, but I'm able to flex and do a little bit things a little bit differently because, my realtor, like her and I have an awesome relationship. She's like my little sister. So I'm able to do that. I have that trust, but I wouldn't want to put any other investors in that situation.
Got it. Well, it's a good lesson learned, from everything.
Yeah. And having a plan B, C, D, and it's important, man. That was a huge lesson learned. Huge.
So I guess I have one last question before we go to the third segment. I know you spent a lot of strategies, but the question that I have is: why should anybody get into real estate?
I mean, there's so many different reasons why. I can't really. We'll be here all day.
Right.
But having an asset, a tangible asset that can make money for you. People say, investing in low end areas in Milwaukee, oh, those properties are never going to go up. And I also have said that, right? I've said that. But at some point, all real estate is going to go up, right? At some point, it might take some areas or some asset classes longer than others, but the value they're at today, at some point, that's going to increase, right? Simply because of supply and demand, and the demand. We're making people every day, right? We're not making no more land. You know what I mean? So that supply and demand imbalance, to me, in my mind's eye, will always force real estate to appreciate. Now, it might go up only incrementally in certain areas, small portions or small increments, but it's going to go up. So that, knowing that fact, the cash flow piece, that you can actually deploy capital into an asset and actually get a return on your investment for not having to physically do any work, to me, that's attractive, right? Because that tells me that you could essentially use this asset to fund a lifestyle that you don't have to, whether you're able to physically work or not, you can still make money, mailbox money, right? Essentially. So that reason, the tax benefits, right? You can depreciate these assets, right? Over 27 and a half years, year after year after year, right? So I say a lot of times, it's not about how much you make. Like, you could have made $1 million last year, but if you give an Uncle Sam 270,000 and you only left with 50, 60K of your own money because you got expenses on that money, then and how much did you really make? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How much did you really make? So it's not about how much you make, but it's about how much you keep. And buying real estate allows you to keep a lot of your capital and also get a lot of tax breaks from it, as well. So those would be my top 3 reasons, man. And plus, it's fly, it's sexy to say you own a real estate portfolio. I love that shit, bro. I can say, yo, you own real estate? Yes, sir. Got some 4 units, 3 units, single families, duplexes. You know what I mean? I even got an 11 unit on a partnership, right? It's not mine, so I don't claim it. But listen, I buy it, man. You know what I mean? So that's it. That shit's sexy as hell, man. in my
So
opinion.
with the land going, there's no more land being created. I mean, unless you in India and China where they
Or Dubai, where they
right,
build
right,
fucking oases on the desert, but that's a different
right.
conversation. Yeah,
So
yeah.
with that being said, is land your next thing?
Land, you know what? The development space, I'm kind of feeling that out. Um, because to me, that's a political, that's a political game. You know what I mean? To a certain degree, right? Because when you buy land, obviously you want to put improvements on it to get the highest and best use. Not all the time. You can do parking lots. You can do, a lot of stuff where it doesn't, you just have the land, right? And people use the land for whatever reason. But me, I'm a big improvements guy and I'm a big tenant guy, right? So I would need to develop on that land at some point. And when I hear in these clubhouse rooms and stuff like that about you gotta get the approval of the local alderman, the councilman, this person, the mayor, and this. Listen, when I buy a 4-unit, cash is me, the seller, and the title company. Ain't no politics involved in that. You know what I mean? I don't need to get approval from nobody. Me and the seller, we agree on price. I wire the money in. It's my property. Done deal. You know what I mean? So that's really the land. I haven't really looked at it. I had a house that actually burned down and the city knocked the house down and it's just land right now. But I don't know if I'll ever improve it. Maybe in the future, but I haven't really looked at that, King. To be honest with you, you know
All
what I
right.
mean? Because I get turned off by the politics of development.
See, and that's the beauty of business. Is like if, say for me, for instance, if I decided to start getting into land and I don't mind that headache or headache for you, it'd be like, oh, this is a breeze for me.
Easy,
We can
exactly.
easily do business
Partner,
that way, right?
absolutely.
On future things.
Yes,
And that's one of the things I like about real estate as a whole is that you can actually take on the stuff that people really don't want to do. And I think that's business
it
because
is.
if you
It
think about it,
is.
like Elon Musk, he could sit there and make each car individually, but why? You know,
Right, right.
why sit there and
Absolutely.
like I want to build rockets? Let somebody else deal with this the old headache that I used to have, and now I can build rockets, and now I
But
can
they
put
actually enjoy it though.
right, right.
They enjoy what you call a headache. This is what they do. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, that is business to me. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. You're
'Cause,
right. That
and that's
is.
how I kind of live my lifestyle now. I outsource cutting the grass because I hate. We're like,
Right, right,
I hate
absolutely.
cutting the grass. So I'm
Absolutely.
gonna move on to the features
All
because
right,
I
cool,
use
cool,
some.
cool. Let's do it.
Um,
Let's do it.
so with the features, what is it? What is your exit strategy now? Since you said money is kind of okay for you right now, but what is your exit strategy? Because I know you say have you bought any of your properties 100% clear, or is there some of them that still bank?
I mostly leverage all of my properties, right? So I buy with my cash, replace my cash with bank debt, then redeploy that cash over and over and over and over and over. So I have a small portion of my portfolio that's debt free. You know what I mean? Because to me, that's tax free money from the bank that I can now use to go buy more assets, right? So essentially, for a lot of my deals too, depending on where I'm buying them at, I'm actually, it's my daughter in the
All right,
background.
you want me to pause it?
I'm actually getting money or extra money on top of, hold on one second.
All right.
Yep, yep, yep. So buying real estate a lot of times the way that I do, like sometimes I get above what I buy a property for on the refinance. So it's almost like, sometimes feel like I get paid to buy real estate, right? Because if I buy a property, I give an example. In November, I bought a duplex for 84K and appraised at 168,000. I took a loan from a hard money lender for 100,000. So they gave me a check at closing for 12 grand above what I paid for the property. And I'm just using that money to clean the building up. We got the upper rented already. And it cost me about like 14, 15K. So I'm essentially using the money I got in addition to the purchase to clean the building up. And I'm gonna put long-term debt on that building. So none of my own money, none of my own money into this deal. Zero so far, right? And at the end of it, I may have about 6 grand of my own money into it. So that's the way I like to buy real estate. So I use a lot of leverage. But eventually at some point, I know I'm gonna have to snowball this debt down, right? By paying off a lot more principal instead of putting that money in my pocket. It's just gonna go right back into knocking down the principal on these mortgages.
So what's that magic number?
I would say maybe I'm probably at 30. I would think 35K a month passively. When I hit that, then whatever I make, I mean, you know, on an annualized basis, tuck that to the side, and then just start knocking the debt down from there. Right. For me, yeah, 35K a month, that's a comfortable space.
Yeah, because my goal was to hit 10K in 5 years, but I mean 34.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm slowly getting there.
Man.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Before we so for the futures, is there anything in the next 5 years where you see yourself business-wise?
Taking down larger apartment buildings, right? So, you know, I think I've kind of exhausted the 1 to 4 unit space, right? I know it like the back of my hand. And I think my next challenge will really getting into those 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 unit apartment building deals. That's kind of where I'm headed, to be honest with you.
Nice. All right, so we'll check back in 5 years, see where you
got. Right. Be like, yo, Shawn was capping like a motherfucker. He's still buying single families.
You're like, pull it this
5 years later.
There's one little
right. What happened, bro? Facts. Nah, that's where I'm headed, though. I can see it, man.
All right, so before we get to the last 4 questions, is there anything else that you want to leave the audience with?
It's just take action, man. You know what I mean? 9 to 5 ain't it. It's one way to earn income, yes, but it's not the end all be all, man. So find what your passion is and just drive it home, man. And you could do anything, man, especially if you're melanated, right? If you got this thing called melanin in you, I mean, listen, you were created from you know, the being that has melanin. You know what I mean? I just want to put that out there, right? You were created in the image of God, right? So, you know, to my brothers, my sisters, this is doable. You know what I mean? No matter what your circumstances are. Like when I tell you I came from the mud, I came from under the mud, right? And, you know, to be able to run 3 successful businesses virtually, I mean, that's nothing but God. You know what I mean? So we got it in us. We just got to believe it, man. And, you know, and listen, man, surround yourself by other believers, man, whether it's virtually, online, you know, social media, whatever, like, you know, get away from people that's not feeding, you know, good or greatness into you, man. That would be my suggestion. Well, let's get into the last 4.
Well, I was going to have one more question because I know you're doing this as a family man. You know, do you plan that your kids going to take over this, or are you teaching them to take over this?
Yo, that's an awesome question, right? So my son sees what I do all the time, right? He sees me, you know, typing up contracts, talking to the title company, talking to my managers, talking to new investors, talking to my acquisition manager, my weekly meeting with acquisition and my cold callers. Like, he's around me for all of that. I used to have the mindset that I wanted to push him to take over the family business, right? This real estate, buying and holding real estate. I'm less I'm feeling less not enthusiastic, but I don't want to push him, right? You know what I mean? I want him to be able to live his life. I would love for, I think my daughter would probably end up taking over the family business before my son, because it's so funny. I just got approved for a business credit card. It came in the mail, and I was showing it to him, and it was probably like 15 grand or something like that on the business. And I was showing it to him. I was like, yeah, you can really leverage your business. I gotta open up a business account for you and open up an LLC for you, and you'll give dad some tax breaks also. And he started crying, right? Like it was heavy for him, right? He was like, oh, wow, why are you gonna open up a business for me? Why are you gonna open up a business bank account? I don't, it was like, it was heavy for him. You know what I mean? So, and he's 9, he's going on 10. So I need to relax. I really need to relax. But my daughter, I mean, she's only 3. She's about to be 4. But she's like, yeah, dad, let's go. You know what I mean? I'm gonna open up a business, me and the dog. You know what I mean? We can open up the business together. You know what I mean? So I don't want to push either one of them. I want to just make their lives as comfortable as possible, to be honest with you, and build a legacy, man, something that can live beyond me, beyond them. So I imagine I'll be putting some stuff in a trust and stuff like that, and as the in terms of long-term planning and stuff like that. But I mean, I would love for them to take over the business. It's not easy, man. Dividing your time between your baby, your business, right, and your actual babies, right, and your spouse, your significant other, man. I mean, my wife, she's my biggest cheerleader. I couldn't do it at the end of the day without her, because she holds the family together to allow me to sit down here and sit with kings like you and talk business, right? I have that space, that freedom to kind of know that the house is good. You know what I mean? Now she get a bag, you know what I mean? She all right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like she ain't worried about nothing. You know what I mean? But that's not everything, right? It's the love, the affection, it's the, it's being present, right? And when I'm out here kind of going hard in the paint, man, and trying to get to the money, she's holding everything, together in the house. So big salute to all the husbands and wives of entrepreneurs, man, that got to go through the late nights, early mornings, the roller coasters, the ups and downs. Like she's been through all of that with me, and she's still riding, bro. So I'm thankful.
Yeah, salute to you, sir, because you've been out there.
Rolling, bro. We out here rolling, man. Trying to tell you, man. Salute to her, man. Too. Salute to my wife, man. She's awesome, man.
Yeah. Yep. All right, we're gonna get back to you for a little bit.
Come on, man. Don't be you gotta warn me when you're about to go in, bro. You gotta, because that's not on the question list, bro. Let me pull up the question. That's not on the question list, bro. Don't be no, just fuck with you. It's all good. It's all good. People need to hear this, man. This is real life, bro. You know what I mean? I kept it real, bro. I'm gonna keep it real with the people, no matter what, man. And listen, I mean, I'm an open book at the end of the day. I ain't hiding nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling people my real life experiences, what bad things I've gone through, what good things, and I'm a human being at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Trying to figure it all out like everybody else.
Within the 24 hours that we have.
Facts. Facts.
And that's
in a 24-hour real estate game that goes, you're on different time zones. It doesn't stop because you want to take a nap or go to sleep. And that's what I struggle with. Like, I feel like I'm going to miss something, but I need to just, realize that you only got 24 hours in a day.
Yeah. But like you say, well, you got your goals already laid out. You have your things that you only focusing on. So when it comes to missing out, like, yeah, that's great for them, but it wouldn't work for my numbers. And that's the cool thing. I like that you already had that in place when you're going out to the different markets. And like how you clearly told me, was like, land is too much work. I don't want to deal with it. Let me just buy the property. I only got to deal with 3 people. That's it. So, I mean, I really do appreciate to hear that somebody is actually focused on what they want and not getting out of their lane. I saw a meme recently that was saying like when you're in your lane, there's no what they call it. There's
Traffic.
no gridlock. Yeah, traffic. Yeah, there's no traffic. Right.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah.
That's true though.
Yeah.
I'd stick in my pocket, man. I'm over here with it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be over here, over there, over there, over there. I'm in my little pocket, the pocket that I know, and I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off, man. So absolutely, bro.
All right. Sorry to take you away from these 4 questions. Let's get these 4
It's all
questions.
good. It's all good, King. I'm
All right.
enjoying this, man.
So number one, what is wealth? I mean, what does wealth mean to you?
Wealth means freedom, right? Wealth means not being controlled by external forces or having the ability to write your own ticket. That's wealth to me. You know what I mean? That fuck you money. You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
We all need that.
I'm sorry if it was profanity, but this is how I really feel, King. But yeah, man, that's wealth to me, man. Freedom.
All right. So what is your favorite financial book or non-financial book?
So fun. So the richest man in Babylon for me changed my life. That's a book that I read and I still listen to on YouTube regularly to give me a perspective on money, right? Just how you said to that person, pay yourself, right? A portion. That's the biggest jewel I learned from the richest man in Babylon. So now when I have an account that I just take a set amount of money out of every week and it goes into another account, which I don't even have a card for. And, it's far away from my crib. You know what I mean? And it just goes there and it lives there every week. And on a low, I did this for my wife's account. She don't even realize it. The money is coming out of her. No, dead ass. She don't even realize it. And I mean, it's a smaller amount than mine, but it goes into a separate account with the same bank. But I mean, pay yourself first, man, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So, damn, I forgot the question, bro. My bad.
No, it's good. It was what is your favorite financial book and non-financial?
Oh,
Yeah.
so I'm a audio listener type of guy. So financial book for me, that would be it. And the out of state investing by what's the guy from Bigger Pockets? Is it Richard Green or
Yeah, Richard
I
Green.
forget his name?
But it's the other guy
he
that's
bought he wrote
on Bigger Pockets Money, right? Did he do that one?
he's the guy that sits with Brandon Turner on the
Yeah,
main
that's Green.
podcast.
Yep, Green.
I think
Yep.
it's Robert Green, right? All right. So his book would be a book that I've tapped into the book on out of state investing. But Richest Man in Babylon, I got my son reading that book right now. It's old English or how they used to speak mad long ago, but when he understand them concepts, he gonna be winning.
Yeah, I bought that book and then I found it on YouTube, and then I was like, let me play this at times too, because I hate reading. And then I gave it to the actual physical book. I gave that to my barber. So
Oh, dope. Did he ever read it though? Did he ever tap into it?
yeah, he read it. He read it.
Okay, good.
And now he's actually out doing his own thing on his
Awesome.
own little shop now. Not to say little shop, but he's doing his own shop, growing it from himself and then go from there. So
That book changed my life.
yeah. All right, number 3. What did you learn from your worst job?
That at any point I had no control over the situation, that I'm at the whim of another man or another woman to determine my fate. And that was very uncomfortable, right? Knowing I had to kind of not be who I really am to keep this income coming in. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that was the biggest lesson. And I didn't really like that, you know what I mean, at all. And I would say the second largest would be that punching a clock forever is not the wave. Because God forbid you get sick and you can't work, your money stops. They give you a little what's that, FMLA, something like that. You can get some paid time off. And once that stops, if you're relying on unemployment, that ain't it. You know what I mean? Like if you want to live in this country, right? This is a capitalistic country. Like America has debt with China, right? You know what I mean? Like this country is built on capital. He who has the capital wins. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. So once I figured that part out, and you know, these people doing billion-dollar deals, man, buying platforms and you know, doing these things like that. But it ain't about punching a clock, man, and trading your time for money, man. So that's not in this country, at least.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. My favorite question. What is your favorite pastry?
Oh man, favorite. I would have to go with a cheese Danish. That's the go-to. That's the go.
All right.
Cheese Danish. Yep.
You're the second person out of the whole time I've been recording to say the cheese Danish.
Really? Yeah, man. Cheese Danish is the goat, man. That's the go-to right there.
Any brand?
Huh?
Any brand?
Not any brand in particular. Like there was a bodega in Brooklyn, and every time I go back to Brooklyn, I still stop there. They used to just have them like in, you know, like the deli side of the bodega. They got like all the meats and the cheeses and all that, lettuce and all that. But they had like another section where they just used to have these cheese Danishes, man. And I mean, in my past life before real estate, my you know, other sides of the track life, man, a hot tea and a cheese Danish, man, out there working them 10, 12, 14-hour shifts in the streets. That was my go-to meal. And it wasn't no brand. Like it was I don't know, man. Hot tea with lemon and a cheese Danish. That was it for me.
There you go.
Yep.
All right. So where can people find you on the internet?
So Instagram, Facebook, I'm on both of those. Bigger Pockets, definitely look me up on Bigger Pockets. I'm on Clubhouse. Anybody that's on Clubhouse, and you could just hit me directly on my website. You can Google the company, look at all of our reviews and all that jazz, and that's pretty much it, man. This is probably gonna be the first YouTube video that you guys can see me on YouTube. But thanks to the king here. But that's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it.
All right, and it's iKeptitRealEstate on all platforms.
Right. So I kept it real estate. So it's the past tense of keep it real. So I kept it. I'm a buy and hold investor. I keep what I buy, and you know I do my best to keep it real with people, man. So obviously, you know, after keeping it real, you kept it real. So I kept it real estate.
Love it.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Again, this is Shawn Ackerman from iKeptitRealEstateLLC.com. I'll definitely have all his plugs in the show notes. And for myself, my name is Anthony. Again, you've been watching the About That Wallet podcast.